In the last month, I've torn down some pretty big engines. We did the 4.5 liter, 670 pound Land Cruiser engine with the tightest crank bolt possible. We did a 6.7 Cummins. We did a 6.2 Ford. Lots of big stuff. And they say variety is the spice of life. I don't know who they are. Regardless, that's probably why I own so many BMWs, so I can experience all of their issues. But today, we're going to change things up, and we're going to do this little bitty 1.5 liter Honda Fit engine. This is probably going to take 6 minutes, maybe a little longer. That crank bolt might be a little tight. This is a L15 B1 out of a 2015 Honda Fit, and I have a story with it. I know a lot of these cores, I have no idea, but this came from a local Honda dealership where someone ran into something, breached the cooling system, and then drove it until it shut off. And now it has no compression. Well, I don't know if it's low or no, but bad compression. And they had to replace the engine. Thankfully, these are very cheap. And I don't know the scenario in which this failed. Like, they could have been a life or death situation. Probably not. They probably just ignored all of the warning lights and things that were going on their dash before it shut off. Regardless, this engine's toast, and we're going to rip it apart. Unlike the turbo sibling L series that comes in the Honda Civic and CR-Vs and Accords, the Fit engines are actually pretty good. These are really reliable engines. They are very inexpensive, probably because they don't fail. And you can buy one of these with good miles for like $400 or $500 shipped with a warranty. Can't say that about a lot of modern cars. Now, this is 130 horsepower, dual overhead cam, direct injected 4-cylinder, and it doesn't weigh anything. It probably is 120 pounds. So this should be pretty easy. Well, you guys know the drill. We're going to start with the spark plugs. Well, the plugs actually look pretty good. Nothing's been mechanically regapped, but I didn't suspect it would be. The one thing I will say is cylinder 3 is a rather large gap. I don't know why, and 4. The other two, 1 and 2, are pretty normal looking, but I don't know why these are gaps so high. Are they just worn that far? I don't know. Is that common? I don't know what the stock gap is supposed to be. I'm sure someone will chime in. The next thing we're going to do is remove the intake manifold and throttle body. What is this? We don't need that. So the intake ports aren't as bad as I've seen on a lot of direct injection engines. These are not great, but not terrible. Oh, end of the line. You know, I should probably check the oil. Ooh, it actually might be drained. Could it be? Yeah, it's drained. Well, the engine might be drained, but the intake manifold was not. Now it's time for the valve cover. Oh, it's not going to be that easy. Well, it looks pretty good in here. It smells pretty bad in here. It smells like a hot engine. But there's no metal anywhere. Again, I didn't think this was going to be an oiling failure, just because I kind of had a backstory on this. Let's rip it apart. Next, we need to tackle this high-pressure fuel pump, which I'm not quite sure how this cover comes off, so I'm just going to start prying on things. Hopefully we don't break it. It worked, and I don't see anything broken. Next, we're going to remove the high-pressure fuel pump. Ooh, those are tight. Ooh, I don't want to round these out. Wow. Pretty tight. That one's going to round out. Okay, no, I really need to get this bolt out. So I'm going to hammer a 1/4 drive hex socket in here. It probably won't work, but it might. I think I'm bottomed out. Let's try. Please work. Okay, that did not work. Anything other than a hex, like a Torx, a triple square. No, Honda goes hex. Okay, well that's just going to stay on there, and we've got some work to do to get around this pump to get this whole housing off in one piece. So the bolt I'm most concerned about is this one here, and I think we can get this out just fine. Hopefully I don't have to speak too soon here. Oh yeah, it's not a problem. Okay, it might be a problem. We'll pull that bolt last. Let's get the rest of these 10s out of the way. That wasn't too bad. A quick look at the valve train shows that this thing either doesn't have a lot of miles on it or it was pretty well taken care of. There's basically no oil varnish. There's no damage, no signs of neglect in here. Next, we're going to remove the Vtec solenoid. Sometimes it's called a spool valve. Now, I pull this on almost every single Honda engine we sell, especially ones that are prone to having bearing damage from running low on oil, especially D series, B series, H series, and even some of the K series. We always pull these and then inspect the screen for bearing material because this is the first place you find it. And it's got a clean screen. The next thing we're going to do is remove the crank pulley. So we got to get that bolt out. And on a Honda, they are notoriously tight. Sometimes they come right out, sometimes they take forever. So this is either going to work the first time or the last time. I'm going to go with the last time. Okay, let's go with one step bigger. Now, I still haven't gotten a bigger hose, so this may not work. It worked. Like I said, they usually work on the last try. Another thing I like to do, especially on the K series, which are notorious for chain stretch, is pull the inspection plate here. Now what you're really looking for is how far extended the piston is on this timing chain tensioner. I don't know what the actual measurement is supposed to be on this particular engine, but it doesn't look like it's too far out. Now it's time for the timing cover. Now we should be able to crack this timing cover loose. Oh no, an oversight. Why did I miss this? Let's just go back on. Now we have a better look at the timing system, and yes, I know it's a very small chain. It's also not a very big engine. We've been looking at big engines for the last month, so it's weird to see something this small. But everything looks like it's in really good shape in here. Let's get these rails off, get the chain off, then we can pull the head. This looks dangerous. See, it's fine. You guys just don't trust me. Timing chain tensioner looks good. You can see it's got ratcheting marks on it, and it's kind of an indicator of how stretched the chain is, if it's stretched. Oh, it looks like we got to pull this little bridge. This is still seemingly under a lot of tension. Can I solve that without chopping a finger off? Probably not. So, let's get this off. Hopefully this comes out okay. Fine. Oh yeah. There we are. Everything looks good. Chain looks really nice. We'll save that one. Now we're going to put this engine on its side so I don't have to chase it around trying to crack these head bolts loose. See if it leaks anything. Okay, now we're leaking oil. It's fine. I got a pan there. So these have varying degrees of tightness, which is not good. At first glance, this head looks okay, but then you start to see things like this. That looks like it got hot there and there. And what is stuck on the exhaust valves here? I don't see any cracks. I don't see any like very obvious damage other than this here. Let's go look at the short block. Cylinder 4 looks pretty good. It's a connecting rod. Cylinder 3, okay, just go straight to, the block's bad. This melted down. You can see there's some aluminum transfer from the piston on the sides of the bore. The block is broken. There's sections of it just hanging out here. I mean, at least they didn't go anywhere. That's amazing. The heat required to do that is just wow. And cylinder 1 back to okay, but yeah, of course, that's not repairable. It's actually molten. Holy cow, let's fish this stuff out. A later problem, but this is all torched out of here. I have never seen one melt this bad, ever. Ever. I've seen some hot engines, but usually a cracked head. This isn't usually what happens. So there is I guess there's a plastic liner that fits in here, kind of like the Toyota Tundra V8 that I tore down, and it's all melted, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. This isn't aluminum, this is plastic. Here's a better look at that bore. Yep, mm-hmm. I'm amazed. I didn't think this was going to be that exciting of a core, but leave it to Honda to prove me wrong. Actually, you can't really blame this on Honda. This has nothing to do with how good or bad this engine is, and everything to do with who was driving and what was happening. For those that wanted to see the head gasket, you can see it definitely got really hot between cylinders here. And this is where all the chaos happened. Pretty bad. Okay, so this is by no means a precision device, but this is the straightest thing I could find in the shop. I don't know where our straight edge went. And when I lay this across the cylinder head, I can see daylight here, here, and here. Yeah, that got hot. Well, let's turn this engine upside down and pull the pan. All right, now I'm going to remove Honda is very nice about leaving you places to pry. It's like they want you to work on their cars. Oh, I did not expect that. The baffle looks pretty decent in here, but look at the color inside that pan. It's a little grayer than I expected, which means there's some metal in it, probably from a piston. This engine screams of Honda's past with how simple this is. There's really not much to it. Now we'll pull the pickup off and we'll get this oil pump out of the way. Wow, there's like nothing to this. This is the smallest oil pump I've ever pulled. Well, you know we're going to pull the oil pump apart. Ooh, there's some sparkly bits in here. It's a little crunchy. Just gritty, really. It's such a fine powdered piston. I don't think if you add water it turns into a piston again. But I don't see any damage. You can just feel the texture. It's not just oil. Now I'm going to turn this engine over so we can start with number one. You always want to go front to back. It's just more sanitary that way. I meant to do that. Boy, these really don't want to come out. Oh, we're moving. This one's going to be a little challenging to get out, simply because the bore is damaged. I actually put this on its side. I think it'll be a little easier to get these out, and you guys will get to see what it looks like as it comes out. I think we're going to have to take more drastic measures here. Hopefully we don't break anything. Not really worried about hurting the rods or the block at this point, but I am hoping to protect the crank in case that happens to have any value. And we got some traction now. That's what I wanted to happen. No. Yeah, top of the board's tight. Not yet. Oh, we're crowning. Well, that was much easier. As you would expect, the rod bearings look pretty good. There's no damage whatsoever. However, the rods and pistons tell a different story. This is one of the better ones. I'm starting to believe the zero compression thing. These are charred. Well done. This is the best. Look at how it's melted. That is awesome. We haven't had a melted piston on the channel yet, which is surprising, really. with all the turbo engines we've done, the one that melts a piston is a naturally aspirated low-stress Honda engine. Perfect. It's cooked. Look at the coloring. I really want to know how hot this got. Too hot is the answer. We are not done yet. Oh, the smell. Wow, I need a minute. You know, I've smelled some smells in my life. And that's probably the worst smelling engine I've had that I can remember. It's like, smells like someone, oh, it's awful. I can't even describe the way this smells right now. It smells like a whole bunch of dead fish in a hot van that someone sprayed mustard all over. It's, it's not good. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's not good. Oh, it's like garbage. It's just straight garbage. Definitely the worst smelling engine I've done. It's rotting. It's whatever it is, it smells like rotten. As you would expect, the main bearings, they look good. As does the crank. I don't see any damage to any of the journals. Obviously, this wasn't a catastrophic failure in the bottom end except for the pistons and bores. So at least I think I can sell this. Here's another look at the bores. Obviously, these are really rough. And then this one is a total meltdown. Chunks of pistons fused to every single one. Every single cylinder has that. I totally buy the zero compression. I've never seen it achieved this way, but wow. Last year we bought a BMW from a tow lot that had been closed all summer. It was in September, I think. And when we opened the door for the first time in months, we realized that the inside had some groceries, and one of those things was a can of Spam that had exploded from the heat. That smell is what I smelled when I cracked those main cap bolts loose. It was bad. It took me a minute to gain my composure. And I don't really know why that smelled that bad. None of the rest of that engine smelled anywhere near that bad. But man, that took me a minute. This was a really, really bad failure. Someone cooked it. They had to know something was wrong. Like, there's lights on in the dash that say, hey, bad stuff's happening. But if people don't pay attention, this is what you get. You cannot blame the manufacturer for this one. This is not a manufacturing defect or a fault of Honda. It's not a poorly designed engine. If you run an engine so hot that it literally melts the pistons, it doesn't matter how good the engine is. It's going to have a problem. You can't do that. And this person did. Thankfully for them, I guess. It was a relatively inexpensive engine, but I'm sure it was still a pricey bill. And if you'd like to buy parts off of this engine or any of the other engines I've torn down, or if you want to buy an L8T, this is a 2021 Chevrolet Express 2500 with a 6.6 liter all aluminum gas engine. We've got a 2-wheel drive pullout coming out tomorrow. Well, I guess depending on what day tomorrow actually is when this video goes up. I will have it available next week with 6,300 miles on it. I also have some videos that I'd like to put up. I don't know really when I need to do this. I have a ton of update videos. I have an update video on my Land Cruiser. I'm going to have a rod bearing video on my E46 M3. I'll have an update on the Mystic, an update on the 928. I know there's a couple of you that have been begging and yelling at me to do that. An E21 3 Series update. I got a lot of updates and some cars I really haven't even talked about. So at some point in the future, you'll see a whole slew of those videos released. I don't really know when. Still have to finish that. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this teardown. And as always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.